The real estate market is about to explode. And I can tell you, buyers are coming back in herds and they're responding to the interest rates finally. And guess what? This is your final chance to own a home before you miss the boat, as we are going to have a crazy spring market here in the Waterloo region. If you are hearing anything like this, then I have just one advice for you: run away. Because the market data just came out for the month of December, and I can tell you, it tells everything but that. So we're going to dive into it. I'm going to share my screen here with you. We're going to look at closely the market stats, and I'll share some great tools with you. So stay tuned and let's get right in. If this is your first time to this channel, my name is Dharmik Dixit. I am a local real estate agent serving Kitchener, Waterloo, and surrounding towns. And I have people just like you who reach out to me who are looking for help in making the move in and around Kitchener-Waterloo. And I absolutely love it. So whether you are thinking of moving in 9 days or 9 months, be sure to reach out. You can call me, text me, email me, or even schedule a Zoom call. All my info is right below in the description. I'll be more than happy to help you and family relocate in and around Kitchener-Waterloo. Okay, so you can probably see my screen by now, and I have this Waterloo Region Association of Realtors website pulled up right in front of me, and I'm under the charts tab. We'll look at some market stats and the data that came out for the month of December, and we'll take a closer look at it to decide, and not really decide, but determine and project where the market is heading. So let's take a closer look as to what happened last month. We have number of sales in total for the month of December. The region as a whole sold about 333 homes. We did see a sharp decline from the month of November, from 546 homes in total down to 333. Now, if you look at it in layman terms, 333 divided by 546 and times 100, it was down to about 61%. So in other words, you can say it was down by about 39% over a month in total number of homes sold. Now, that is typical. I don't want you to decide or determine the market based on that, because a lot of numbers you see in the month of December, it's much seasonally adjusted because of the holiday season, and I'll explain in detail. But that is typically seasonal in any given year. Even in a normal year for the real estate market, we see sometimes seller pull off or delay coming out until the holidays are over, and we don't see that many new homes come out on the market, and we don't see a lot of action in the month of December because everyone is in the holiday mood. So that's typically seasonal for the month of December. Average sales price, again, I've cautioned you before in my previous market update, just be careful on this number, the average sales price and the median sales price. Why? Because these are just the mere averages. They don't truly reflect the prices for any given type of home. For example, in the month of November, average sales price for a single family home in the region was $863,329. That has not gone up to $898,000. That's not what it means. This is merely an average. So let's say if you had 100 homes sold and total dollar volume was like, say $1 billion, basically you divide that total dollar volume by the total number of sales, and that's the average for that particular home in that particular region. So these are mere averages. Don't in the long run, yes, it will give you a good indication of the market activity that happened in the past, but in the short run, these numbers may not be as much helpful. If you are a buyer or a seller, I would rather say highly recommend that you use the HPI tool. You have access to it. Even if you're not a real estate agent, you can use this tool. I'll link it in the description below. But use the home price index tool, which shows the benchmark price for a given home in a given neighborhood. So you can really drill down and understand what could be the benchmark price for a home that you currently live in. But again, the median sale price, it's again a mere median. Does not really reflect anything about the market in the short run, but I'll link this whole chart thing in the description so you can take a closer look if you want to dive into these numbers more closely. But like I said, in the long run, they're helpful. In the short run, these two numbers are not that helpful. Let's look at the average days on market. Now, this is an interesting number, especially if you are a seller. You want to know this, you want to follow this closely to see what's happening. As a region as a whole, average took about 27 days in November. Now it is up to 36 days. So about 5 weeks. That's the average days on market. So if you are a seller, I would say patience would be very important in this market. Hold your grounds and you shall get the reward. That's how I would define this. But we have seen this uptick. Again, we don't know in the short run what could be the reason. It could just be the holidays, where a lot of buyers are off the shelf. They are in the holiday mood. They're delaying the purchase into the next year, maybe until the Bank of Canada decide make a decision on another interest rate towards the end of this month. There could be so many reasons, but what we have seen as a matter of fact, the average days on market has gone up. So it's not really, this is not good news for sellers, but if you're a buyer, this is good news for you, because now you could potentially have more options as more new homes come in market that stay on the market for a longer period of time. But it'll be interesting to see where this number heads into the month of Jan and Feb, and more importantly, as we head into the spring 2025. But right now, on an average, you can say about 5 weeks. Months of supply for sale, we had a sharp drop from the month of November. We had 2.8 months of inventory. Now we are down to 1.9 months of inventory in the region. And again, this is very typical for this season, for this time of the year, for the month of December, where we see not just the buyers pull the plug, but even the sellers pull the plug. Where, let's say, if I were to sit down with the seller in the month of December, we are doing a listing appointment in the second week of December, I would really ask them candidly, do you really need this to go out in the month of December? Because we're likely not going to get as much response on your listing. We're likely not going to get a great response to the open house, all the marketing initiatives that we do for the property because of the holiday season. But your property will sit on the market. You will have to deal with it through the holidays. So that's typically what happens. A lot of sellers do decide to postpone it into the month of January. And that's when you see, when we look at this number again, in the month of January, you will see all these numbers typically inch up a little bit. So that's typically seasonal again for this time of year. You see me mentioning that word again and again, but that's important to note. I don't want you to determine where the market is heading just based on this number because of a seasonal adjustment that happened. Like, because of that, there's a factor, there's an influence of the season and the time of the year to that number. So just keep that in mind when you look at these numbers more closely. Now let's look at the new listings. And just as I was mentioning, right? If you look at all the way from October to December, we have only seen drop. Well, we had 1153 in October, new listings that came out, down to 893. And what happened? Down to 347. Well, roughly about 1/3 of what was happening. So there is a sharp drop. Sellers are also delaying coming out of the market, and this is an answer to that. We have seen a sharp decline in number of new listings that came on the market for the month of December. Again, coming back to my point, you should see this number go up as we head into Jan and Feb. When I do that update, stay tuned for that, and be sure to subscribe so you are the first to get that update when it pops up onto your YouTube channel. Homes for sale. Total number of homes for sale, we had about 1573 number of homes on sale on the market, but that is down to about 1100 for the month of December. And it does correlate with all the other numbers we looked at previously, such as months of supply, average days on market, and the number of new listings. So this is again in correlation with the seasonal adjustment. And that's part of the reason why I'm not diving into ratios too deep as I do in some of my other videos, such as the sales to new listings ratio, SNLR, which determines which way the market is heading, buyers, balance, or sellers market, or even some of the other ratios where we define, how we define the average days on market and some of those other things, because it won't truly give you an indication because of this December numbers, which are highly seasonal in nature. So I don't want you to be misguided solely based on this number. But these are important to look at. And when we revisit this in the month of January and so on, you will be able to look back and see why we saw what we saw in the month of December. And it was not just the market driven. And dollar volume of sales, again, it's definitely down from what it was in fall September, October, November, we have obviously seen a drop. That goes hand in hand with all the other numbers we looked at, but this is a mere indicator of a total volume. For a buyer or seller, it's not a huge deal to really reflect on the market activity as a whole. But that's in a nutshell the market report, the data for the month of December. Now, I did mention, about the point about average and the median sales price. I want to pull up the HPI tool so you guys can take a closer look at it. I'll give you a high-level overview, but this is the tool that you have it available at your disposal, and I highly recommend that you use it. To understand, even you can drill down all the way to your particular neighborhood where you're living in KWC, or even any part of Canada for that matter. You have access to it because this tool is actually made by the Canadian Real Estate Association, so it's not by the local real estate board. So no matter where you live in Canada, you have access to this tool, which is great news. I have pulled up for the Waterloo region, so I'll probably see the options for Kitchener, Cambridge, and Waterloo here, but you can go all the way like 20 years back. I am going to do last 1 year to see how the year unfolded from Jan 2024 to December 2024. Just again, purely an example to give you guys some hands-on, so you feel more familiar, more comfortable when you give a shot at it. You can either do HPI, which is an index value, or you can do the benchmark price. I keep it to benchmark price for ease of understanding, and you can pick what type of homes. I'll keep all. Actually, you can book Cambridge, Kitchener, and Waterloo. And like I said, you can drill it down to your particular neighborhood or particular region or particular part of the town that you live in. Now, let's say apply. And now this is what it gives you. So, performance over time, which is a linear chart. So I want you to look at this. We had peaks and valleys, during the last year. We have seen some peaks in spring to summer, and we saw some valleys as we headed back towards the later part of the year. So that's, you can see, fairly a straight line for all types of home across the Waterloo region. For the Kitchener-Waterloo single family homes, benchmark price at the beginning of the year was $835, end of the year $822, barely moved. You can look at same for Cambridge, single family $778 and $758. Not a material or a substantial difference in the price year over year. Yes, definitely we saw the peaks of spring and we saw the valleys of the fall. So overall, we had a fairly flat market in terms of the prices. You could play it around and look at it by the percentage. You can see it's fairly flat, hardly moved in terms of the value. And you can do the time frame and the benchmark. So this gives you like 1 month, 3 months, 6 months, all the way to 5 years. So you can compare, especially if you are someone who bought 3 years ago. I mean, you could be in some negative equity right now. So it's important for you to understand this. And if you are someone who had bought 5 years ago, you are still in a positive. That's the likely case. So if your mortgage is up for renewal or something like that, or if you're considering to sell or move this year, this could be helpful for you to understand, especially if you bought, let's say 5 years ago, back in 2020 or any time around that. This is a good number for you to understand as to what you can expect. Yes, despite the market being slow, there's likely that you still have some positive equity as you come out or you refinance. Or if you bought 3 years ago, it's highly unlikely that you have positive equity. So it may not be worth a shot for you to refinance or move, especially if you're able to stay and hold on for some time. That could definitely give you better returns in the near future. I mean, we always say 3 to 5 years minimum time frame is what you want to go with when you buy real estate. As you know, it's not as liquid. So but this is to give you a very, very high level overview of the HPI tool. The benchmark price is what you want to be guided by for a particular type of home that you own or you plan on owning, not the average or the median price. So play around with this tool. I will again link it in the description so you can access to it, but you can nonetheless Google it and pull it up as well and play around with it. So to wrap things up, I do want to remind you guys of some key dates that are planned for the month of January. We have labor market data that's due in a couple days from now, 10th of January. We do also have the CPI data that is due towards the middle of January, and the big event, the Bank of Canada monetary policy announcement, that is due towards the end of this month in January. So after this rate announcement towards the end of this month, I will do another market update video where we will closely look at what happened to CPI data, the labor market, and also we'll closely look at some data-driven insights from RBC Economics to give you guys a really hands-on perspective on what you can expect heading into the spring and summer of 2025. But nonetheless, if you are considering to move in and out of Kitchener in 9 days or 9 months, be sure to reach out. I'm very easy to talk to. All the info is right below in the description, and we'll be more than happy to help you and family move in and out of Kitchener-Waterloo. Until next time, well, I do hope to show you around town.